We made it home. I think we got home last night about, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. We made it home from Dig or Die. I can't see any comments, so that's going to be difficult. Oh, crap. Hang on, let me try and figure this out. Oh, boy. Oh, here we go. Now I can see some comments. How's it going? What's up, Jake? I was concerned there. I couldn't see comments, so can't do questions and answers if I can't see the comments. But now I can see them. What's up, everybody? We made it home last night about 1 o'clock in the morning and made it home safe and sound, no trouble. Boy, there was a lot that happened this weekend. Oh my gosh, and I don't even know where to start to try and put a video together. So I figured we would just do a little live feed this afternoon before we get started into editing and see how this goes. Yeah, it was a long race, guys. That was a lot. So as you guys have probably already seen, we made it down to, I think, eight cars. I think we were down to 8 cars. And we lost to the eventual winner of the event. So that makes us feel a little bit better. What was the holdup between rounds? Okay, so between rounds, there was a considerable amount of fighting. There were some medical problems. There were some people along the wall, some spectators. I think one had a seizure, and there was some things like that, some issues where the EMS crew needed to tend to some of the spectators from heat exhaustion, and one person had a seizure, I think. So outside of that, there was some fighting and things of that nature. A little too much drinking going on, if you ask me. That's just my personal opinion. I kind of climbed up in somebody's ass over that for a few minutes, pretty gently, but what I was hoping was some of his friends would take the guy aside and say, "Hey, man, maybe he's right. Maybe you need to calm down and quit running your mouth so mad." So, and I think that happened. I didn't see him anymore after I said something to him. Guys, let's see here. So how is the truck running? Doesn't look like it's trying to dry like the truck's running really, really good. We struggled a little bit, and when Billy gets his video up, I usually pull clips out of his video to put mine together. So I'll be able to explain a little bit better in detail, what was going on this weekend, but there's just a lot. I don't even know where to start. When's the video coming out? I don't know, because Billy, Tommy, and Molly are all 3 sick. They had terrible sinus colds on the way home as we come through the mountains. Their ears were popping, and Billy looked like his eyeballs were ready to pop out by the time we got home. Questions. Hey, like it. We're real hillbillies. Look, we got big wheels and a dryer sitting in the backyard. Don't that look great? Good grief. Oh, let's see here. Let me scroll up. Yeah, there was 117 cars, and obviously some of the baddest street race cars. Not all of them were street race cars, but most of them were street racers and street race cars. Billy's last pass, how close was it? I think it was about a car length. He lost to that Mustang by about a car. Billy had, Tommy had put, why does it say $5 up there? Is somebody sending me money or something? I don't know what that's all about. Okay, so when we ran Gunter at 8 cars, it was a black Mustang. Super nice guy, super nice crew. To be honest with you, I didn't think that was going to be a problem. Gunter snuck up on me. I hadn't seen that car, had not heard of him before, and We really weren't that concerned. He honestly snuck up on us. We didn't see that one coming. But we lost by about a car length, and it would have been probably undecidable who won that race had the truck done what it had done the round before. And well, the round before we made our best pass of the event, and had we put our 60 foot and 330 foot of that pass together with the back half of the pass he put together against Gunter, we could have possibly won that one. I'm not sure. It would have been really close. Thanks, guys. We made it home safe. Yeah. Great race. First event out. Loved it. Good. Well, I mean, you're talking about, listen, this is an event for street racers, to bring street racers off the street and give them a place to race in front of the crowd. What's for dinner? Beef and noodles tonight. She's already got a roast in the oven in there. Vicky's in the house. Coming back to Marion County soon, I hope. That's like our home track. Let me scroll back up here. Hang on. Bill, it was nice meeting you and the family. Real enjoyed it. Thank you for all your signatures. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming to see us. Yeah, Limpy's live feed was crazy long. Limpy had great coverage. Yeah, he did. Almost 1,000 watching. Shout out to Limpy. Limpy did a fantastic job, man. And he always does. But it's always an honor to have Chris there. And get to hang out with him a little bit, see him, and if he's there, that means something. I mean, he doesn't necessarily show up to just little rinky-dink events. Let's see here. Looking for questions. Will we ever be coming out to Las Vegas? I don't know. I don't know about that. That's a long haul, and we don't have anything that would really want to make that trip. Let's see. Questions. Come to New York. You know what? Ty Ranger's been wanting us to come up to Syracuse, and I wouldn't mind doing that. We've been wanting to come to New York. I want to come see Long Island. Brian Vader, Bill Lutz should not have been trying to race his pro mod in an event geared towards smaller budget street strip cars. Well, I have mixed feelings about that. So here's my mixed feelings on that. And that's not my event. That's not my place to say who comes and who goes and who belongs and who doesn't belong. Okay? So that's not my place. But I think there's a lot of people who did feel that Lutz's car doesn't belong there. And I gotta be honest, there's a part of me that feels that way too. But it's not my event. That wasn't my call. You know, that's not up to me to say who belongs and who doesn't at somebody else's event. With that being said, you know, nature takes its course, and nature took its course down there. You know, if Bill Lutz and I don't get along, we pretty much despise each other's existence. So with that being said, I am no Bill Lutz fan. But I will say this, if Bill Lutz can bring his car down there and wreck the event and just run through everybody like crap through a goose, then we need to do some work. Because that car, what I knew going into it, what everybody else who has been there going into that event knew, is that car will never, ever win that event with the chassis and the drive line that it has. It's just not going to happen. And that's, I think they probably understand that now after they've been there. You can't imagine. Dig or die, the surface that you are racing on at Dig or Die is absolutely the most difficult surface that we have ever raced on. It's like I think I made a video last week testing for dig or die. And I made mention in the video, it's hard to find some place to test for dig or die because there's no place like it. It's just difficult. It's very coarse. It doesn't take rubber. Like you'll see in the videos, on the live feeds, there's black tracks everywhere. That's because they're spinning. They're spinning because there's no traction. That place is extremely difficult. It doesn't take rubber. You know, you do a burnout and you might as well back up on gravel. It just doesn't hold rubber. Let's take some more some more questions. It's like 32 card cash days. I don't know who that is, but yeah, I'd like to do that. I've talked to Billy about that. Tie Ranger has invited us up there. I think they've got a race at Esta, a track named Esta or something like that. I wouldn't mind coming up there for that. Oh my God, Tommy's truck status. It is still at the chassis shop. However, I think they are moving forward on it, I hope. Let's see here. Tommy's truck is still probably a couple months at least from us getting it back here. Do we have a good grasp on what needs done to the truck? Well, the truck at this point right now, the drive shaft has a problem. The yoke, the front yoke on the drive shaft is twisted, and the splines are twisted, so the drive shaft cannot move in and out of the transmission the way it's supposed to. And it's binding up and it's causing some trouble. We keep having problems with the bell housing bolts coming loose. So this week, job one, it's actually still in the trailer back there. Job one this week is to get the truck unloaded and get the drive shaft out of it, and we've got to get a billet yoke put on the drive shaft. We'd love to come to Crossville, Tennessee. Buy Mrs. Vicky's cookies through SRC. Let's see here. Come to Norwalk. There's not much going on at Norwalk for us. That's all prep stuff. Tech questions. Probably not the time for tech questions. Why so many cars without front clips? Well, because a lot of the cars without front clips are either new builds that it's hard to find fiberglass noses for right now. I know there was at least one guy out there that didn't have a front clip on his car because he just built it. Literally, it just came off the dyno. Dean James from Maryland. He just got the car done and doesn't have a front clip for it yet. He's still waiting on a front clip. Other people have either wrecked their cars, tagged the wall with them, and they don't have a front clip to put back on. Or in some cases, people like take the front clip off of them, just take nose weight off to get the weight bias a little bit better. I don't think it's a good idea to take the front clips off. Let me go back here. Hang on, I saw something. Coming to Midnight Madness, that's the plan. We're going to try and get the S10 out of the trailer. We got to fix the drive shaft. We got to put a billet yoke on the drive shaft and fix some problems with the bell housing bolts. It's got one of the dowel pins missing out of the block. It fell out on the track at Dig or Die, and CJ Buckner actually picked it up and handed it to me. The first pass, that's a good question. What happened on the first pass? So, oh boy, this is a long story. So our weekend started out really rough between Junior and I because I was ready to kill him Friday. Literally, I was ready to bury him in a field of sand and cover him up and just call it good. So, as you all saw, we tested, made a couple passes here at home before we went to Dig or Die, and we had 2 weight bars in the truck. Both our ballast bars were bolted in securely, just like they're supposed to be, and we went and tested, and the test hits were really good. We were on Phoenix tires, no problem. The problem of our weekend started Friday afternoon when one of Vicky's brand new tires exploded on the Suburban on her way to dig or die, which sent me into a frantic text messaging episode with all my friends back home who I was hoping could help come to my wife's rescue because she's broke down along the road with a flat tire. So this all happened at about the time that Billy was getting ready for the driver's meeting for the street race Friday night. And I remember specifically telling him that before you take the weight bar out of that truck, he wanted to take the weight bar out for that street race Friday night. I said, before you take that weight bar out, you need to go up and look at that road. He swears I never told him that, which I shouldn't have to tell him that. That should be common sense, but whatever. So he didn't do it. And the last time we had been on that spot, the truck was hooking really hard. It was in the 120, 60 foots, but it was in December. It was cold. It was 29 degrees that night. I mean, it was terribly cold. The road was tight, and they had been racing on it a lot. There was a lot of rubber down. That wasn't the case this Friday. The road was extremely sketchy. It was very loose. It didn't have a lot of rubber down. There was a lot of burnout marks, but that doesn't mean that it holds rubber. June, come on, get out of the weeds. And so instead of heeding my advice, Junior pulled the weight bar out of the truck and took it to the street race Friday night and looked like a monkey fucking a football. And I was very unhappy. I was very displeased with him. And usually I would have time to kind of watch over him and make sure he does what he needs to do, but it just so happens I was busy dealing with Vicky's tire problem, so I didn't get a chance to really watch over and make sure he was prepared to go and make sure that he did what I wanted him to do, and it was a mess. So Friday night we went street racing. It didn't go well. He lost second round and almost got into a crash first round because the guy he's racing is an idiot and looped his car around right in front of Billy. If Billy wouldn't have been paying attention, he would have hit him probably right in the driver's door. So anyway, we go to the track Saturday. Or no, first round's, this was Thursday. First round was Friday night. And he's on the Phoenixes. And he gets cold feet about the starting line. Everybody's knocking the tires off. And so he pulls a bunch of ignition timing out of it, which we had not tested that way. We had not. You guys back? Sorry guys, I came up and now I'm on the Wi-Fi in here. So Friday night was a teetotal disaster, which led to a disaster first round, which we made it through, but then by second round Saturday, Vicky had got there and I had her bring a brand new set of Hoosiers from the shop with her. And I kind of forced Junior to find a tire shop and get a new set of Hoosiers put on the truck. And come on girls, let's go back out. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Air conditioning's not working in the shop and the internet's not working. Who knows what the hell's going on. Sorry. Tried to go in the shop where it's air conditioned. The air conditioning's not working and the internet's not working out there, so who knows what the hell's going on there. I'm not worried about that Nova. Nova's sitting there. I'm back now. Sorry guys. So I don't know how much that you caught. You'll see it all in the videos. I got to get started on mine. I've got some of it done, but what do I think about them switching out the flagger? So Daniel Harden was the flagger, and the man has So I'm gonna go in here and have it out with Vicky. She changed the setting on my phone for my internet.
What's the matter?
What'd you do to my phone?
When you're in the house, you can be on 5G.
Yeah, but now when I go outside, I ain't got shit. When I go to the garage, I don't have no internet.
Well, you
I'm
gotta
live. There's
switch.
like 1,700 people on here, and I'm in and out because you screwed with my phone. You said you made something better.
Listen, you told me when you're trying to download videos in the house that
Jesus
you need better. I didn't say nothing about outside in the barn. I said in the
Just
house.
stop. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, let's see here. At Dig or Die, what do you need to be competitive at Dig or Die? Depends on what round. First round, if you can come off the trailer and go 660, you'll probably be all right. When you get down to the late rounds, you need to be rolling 580s, 590s. And we were real close to that. We were running over 130 miles an hour out the back, which I'm not sure how many cars were doing that, but I think we were in the top tier, the top percentile of mile per hour out the back. But we were slowly trying to figure out how quickly we could start adding boost on the front end of the track. And we hadn't quite gotten there yet when we got cut short by Mr. Gunter, who snuck up on us. We didn't think that was going to be as big of a problem as it was, but Billy was actually driving back down on him at the other end, but he missed by about a car length. Melvin's been hanging around Billy again, got his mind all messed up. No, Melvin hasn't been here for a while. I don't know where Melvin's at. Melvin's busy. Where do you see SRC in 5 to 10 years? I have no idea. God, that is a good question. I don't know. Yeah, she does make good food. Need more carb videos. Second gear Leaf 400 versus a Glide for 1,000 horsepower, 3,200 pounds. Glide all day long. Weighted wings. I don't give two shits about weighted wings. We don't have a weighted wing. You know, we didn't win the event, but we were on our way to doing it, and we don't have a weighted wing. We don't have weight hanging out the back of it. We don't have none of that crap, and we probably had one of the best mile an hour in cars there, and we don't have none of that stuff. I think that's, in my personal opinion, I think it's a crutch for not really understanding how to get the most out of your suspension. That's a crutch if you ask me. Let's see here. Let's go through some more questions. How are things moving forward with Iski cams? That's a good question. I haven't really heard too much from them. I think Nolan messaged me the other day and said camshaft's on its way, but I haven't seen it yet. I've just been busy. Haven't really had time to check in with them. Rewind at 42. Yes, we plan on being at Dragway 42 for the rewind. Friday, Morocco, Indiana. No, I think we're going to be at Saturday. We're planning on being at Midnight Madness at KD. What was the deal with the orange Mustang? That is a good question. That's a very good question. Okay, so the orange Mustang, those guys are legit street racers from down in the Carolinas. Very respected, very nice people, very respectful people. They give you the shirt off their back if they had to. And they had been having trouble with the distributor in that car Saturday. The driver came back and told us after that round that they'd been struggling with that all day. And I don't know what happened. I know that when it pulled up there, it sounded like it had an ignition problem. And my fear, I was so scared. Anytime you see a nitrous car pull the starting line, do a burnout, and shut off and die, my instant fear is that if if the solenoids are leaking or anything like that happens and they go to restart it right there on the starting line, a lot of times the cars will blow the hood off, blow the intake apart, and that can hurt people. It can injure people. And there's a lot of spectators. There's a lot of people there on the starting line. And my immediate fear was that if he restarted the car, that it could explode. And so the first thing I did when that happened was I ran over there to the driver and I said, listen, listen, listen. I don't care how long it takes you to fix this car. Just take your time. Please think about what you're doing before you hit that key. Just take your time. We'll give you all the time you need. Don't rush, because I was, there's a lot of pressure on somebody. You're racing for a lot of money and you're down to 8 cars. You pull the burnout box and your car dies. A lot of people would put you on the clock, and we've been in this position before where we have something happen, and maybe not always people are that nice to us, but that's all right. That's we can't change that. So when that happened with Jolene, I immediately ran over and I told the guy driving, I said, just take your time. We'll give you all the time you need. Just be careful what you're doing, because I didn't want to see the car explode. I didn't want to see it blow the intake manifold off. And that's the promoter in me, the guy that's been on the starting line, that's been responsible for a lot of people's safety. That I knew Daniel Harden standing there, and he's probably had the same concerns that I had, that something may happen bad with that nitrous car. So I checked the crank trigger was fine. I checked the rotor underneath the distributor cap. I helped him do all that. Everything looked fine, and he managed to get it started again, but it didn't run very good. It didn't make the pass that it should have. So that's why it looked like we won that so easily, is because his car wasn't right. But that's my initial fear was to keep people safe. I didn't want to see anybody get hurt. I didn't want to see that car catch fire. But also, we don't want to win that way. That's a fast car. Everybody that knows that car's fast. And I don't want anybody. The last thing I would want to see is anybody belittling our win, or belittling my kids, saying, oh, they put them on the clock, they were scared. We're not scared of anybody. We want to earn our wins, if at all possible. We want to give everybody the opportunity to race and put on a good show. I mean, there's a lot of people there, and people forget that that's a show. It's entertainment. So nobody wants to see anybody lose that late in the night without a good race. Let's go through some questions here. So glad to see Kendall fall on his face against Bobby. Well, I'm not a Kendall Golan fan necessarily. I have a lot of respect for Kendall. I have a lot of respect for that team, but I'm not a big Kendall cheerleader. But I don't like to see anybody lose like that. That was just a bad mistake. Kendall is fast. He's extremely fast, and he works very hard. What is this, people? What did you think about all the people at the starting line? I love them. What's the status of Billy's Nova? The guy who's building the engine for the Nova was in a motorcycle accident, and he was almost killed. And last I saw today, he's back on his feet somewhat, but he's not able to work right now. Going Pro Charger? No, I don't have any intentions of putting a Pro Charger on anything right now. Did your RC truck come in yet? No. Why they hold the light on y'all in that one round? I don't think they held the light on anybody intentionally. Sometimes you've got one car in one lane that's a lot quieter than the other one. And obviously when you get down into late rounds and there's a lot of money on the line, the starter wants to make sure he's doing the right thing. He wants to make sure everybody's up on boost and everybody's ready. And I think Daniel a couple times probably held the light a little bit longer than normal, because he wanted to make absolutely sure that both drivers were ready. And I think he was trying to err on the side of safety. And unfortunately, I know it caught Kendall off guard, and probably Patches. I think Patches jumped against Bobby Parks. So, let's see. It's good questions. What happened at the finish line? I assume you're talking about that first round race with us, and they called the winner to the wrong lane. Listen, guys, I can assure you, I don't know who the finish line judge was. I'm sure he's taken enough heat. He doesn't need me bad-mouthing him. He made quite a few bad calls. I don't think any of them were intentional. I hope it. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I don't know what the situation was there. But I can assure you that Daniel Harden and Eric Hunt and all the guys that are running that event would never intentionally screw somebody out of a win that way. They would never do that. Let's see here. Here's a good question. Old school small blocks to the front, baby. The Lutz car felt a little overkill. That truck kept up with him too. Okay, so Bill should have been out first round, in all honesty. The little S10, I think it's from Virginia, that had called Bill out first round, had a problem right on the, I couldn't hardly believe it. They pulled up into the burnout box and the truck died. And I think there was a wiring problem with the fuel pump or something. And it was a mad dash to get the truck started and get it to run, and they barely got it to run. And then when it did run, it knocked a tire. It was a terrible pass. It was probably the worst pass I've ever seen Daniel Bishop put down. He felt terrible about it. He let everybody down, and his team felt terrible about it, but they did the best they could. It happens. It's racing. That's just the way it happens. But yeah, Bill would have been put out first round had it not been for that. And I don't think he would have made it through first round of the second chance race with the pass he put down either. I don't come to Killcare for anything. That's kind of a bracket track. Let's see here. Hold on. I've seen a good question. Is Billy happier with the blow-through carb now? Yeah, I think so. He's just a kid. Good question. On a surface like dig or die, this is from Jamie Knight, sorry. Could you just continuously stack ballast in the back? Yeah, you can do that, but at the same time, there's a limit to what you can do with ballast. To the guys who think you can just come up there with a bunch of weight bags in the back and think you're going to do something, you're not. What people don't realize is 100 pounds of ballast in the correct location will do 1,000,000 times more for you than 500 pounds in the wrong location. Weight goes up high and to the back. That's where ballast belongs at dig or die, up high and out back. If it's not up high and it's not as far back as you can get it, then you've got the ballast in the wrong place. And if you can't put it up high and far back, it takes 2 to 3 times the amount of ballast below the rear bumper or on the trunk or the bed floor. It takes 2 to 3 times the amount of ballast to provide the same amount of pressure to the tire as 100 pounds in the correct place. So if you're trying to carry 300 or 400 extra pounds of ballast, you may get a little out of the 60 foot on it, but it's going to kill the mile an hour on the other end. It's like pulling a trailer. That's no good. Ballast is a tricky thing. You don't want to carry any more than you have to. Let's see here. 100 pounds is not a tenth. That's out the window. You might as well forget about that. Turbo John added weight, seemed to work. Turbo John works very hard. He's trying very hard to do this stuff. Do you think Bobby and Patches should have been considered a rerun since they both went before the light, or is that first or worse? That's first or worse every time. First person to leave if they're both early. the first person's out. It's not a rerun. No, Billy's truck alignment's perfect. It's not out of alignment. Never been to Cecil County. Spark plug gap in Billy's truck is 20 thousandths. We might put the IRD carburetor back on here sometime pretty soon. Built to the max small block is at Uncle Bob's at the machine shop, and he's been sick for a while and busy, and I haven't had time to go up there and check on it. I need to go up there and see him anyway. No, it's not COVID. Trailer upgrades did really good. Vicky is very happy. She likes her new shitter. Okay, do you need ballast because cow tracks are too stiff? That's I'm afraid that you don't know enough about suspension to even ask the right questions there for that one. Would you share how you guys do your ballast? I just did, up high and as far back as you can get it. You can probably figure out where it goes. Built to the max engine, that's a pretty hot topic, evidently. It's still at the machine shop. To all the people donating money, I don't even understand how people donate money to this. There's people donating money. How's that possible? I don't even know how that's possible. What do you figure Tipper would do for Billy's truck, farm truck style? I don't know what that means. Yes, they're trying to reschedule Magnolia, and I think it may be this weekend. I hope not, but they may be doing it this weekend. What was the end speed for the S10 over the weekend? Looked like it was hauling across the finish line. We were running over 130. I'll say that. Billy was trapping over 130 miles an hour. And keep in mind, that's uphill. Onboard air is working really good. That Viair system works really good. We used the Phoenix tires last week. I don't think the Phoenixes are quite as good at dig or die as a Hoosier track. That's a Hoosier surface. I've learned my lesson there. Hoosiers at dig or die. Period. End of discussion. I don't even want to talk about any other tire at dig or die. I've learned my lesson. Oh, let's see here. How have you looked at? Yeah, I've seen electric wastegates from Turbo Smart. I actually talked to them at PRI in 2019 about those. Not shabby out of all those cars, trucks. #1 fan. Love the whole family. Thank you, Wayne Nix. Molly was at Dig or Die. Yes, she was there helping film and helping in the tent and everything. Can you explain how a boost reference power valve can hurt or help spooling bigger turbos? The size of the turbo has nothing to do with the power valve. I guess what you're asking is how do you tune the power valve to spool a bigger turbo? And the answer is you don't want the power valve to open prematurely and flood the engine with fuel. And it doesn't matter what size the turbo is. Justin Cash, S10 is pretty twisty. You ever plan on beefing up the chassis? Yes, it needs a mid plate. Terrible. I mean, it's terrible. The front frame is stock, and it twists and can carry the left front wheel 6 inches off the ground. The right front's still on the ground, going through the finish line, even on a bad surface. That's how bad it twists the frame in the front. It needs a mid plate and a motor plate, and it really ought to have strut bars out to the front, but we haven't gotten that done. This Marine Corvette loves your videos. Thank you for all you do. I'll support you all I can. Rock Pit Knowledge, thank you very much, and thank you for your service. I don't understand what the hell all this is. I didn't even know people could send money. That's crazy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Billy, any bigger shop plans for the future? We desperately need a bigger shop. I was on Billy about that over a year ago, but it fell on deaf ears. Yeah, Molly took Limpy some bug spray. He was getting eat up by bugs. We ran CO7s there. Randy Poole asked, do you run DO6s there? We were on CO7s. I like the CO7s better because they're stiff sidewall, and they'll the stiff sidewall will 60 foot better once the starting line comes around, and especially if you're hauling a lot of ballast, which we tend to do. I don't go to church. How's church? I don't go to church. I practice my faith on my own. I don't have to go to church for that. Let's see here. Test on Phoenix tires and raced on Hoosiers. Yes. Yes. We will be on a Hoosier every time we go to Dig or Die from now on. I don't know anything about Super Chat. Tim Herbert, it's called Super Chat. Live videos, folks can donate money. I didn't even know that was possible. And I have no idea what that's about. We run the 750 carburetor because we have a lot of data running that carburetor. We'll change that here soon. Can someone teach Molly to power shift her car? I wish I could. Molly's one of those people, she has to learn on her own. I can tell her what to do, but until she learns on her own, there's nothing you're going to change with Molly. New shirt, great quality, thank you. Are you running a brawler carb now? On the 55. Brandon Van Meter, I tried to get a hat signed by you and Billy at the Ohio No Prep King race. Didn't have any Sharpies. Any way I could just buy one? Yes, if you order a hat off streetracingchannel.com, put in the notes that you'd like to have it autographed, and we'll take care of it. We do quite a few of those, actually. Blue Shop Customs, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, here's a good question. Peter Long, have you ever tried adding weight on the rear end housing? No, and I never will. That's literally the worst possible place to put ballast. I understand why people have done it. I know Beaterbaum's done it. I know Kendall Golan's done it. Do they still do it? I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't pay any attention, but I just know that I would never do that personally. That's the worst possible place to put ballast on a car. It's literally like pissing into the wind, if you ask me. But I'm not a professional. 2,600 people watching. That's just crazy. Come on, guys, give me some good questions. Wilkesboro, that's a good question. Robbie Dollar. Yeah, hey, Robbie. As soon as possible. We love Wilkesboro. We'd love to come back as soon as possible. I think there's a race coming up there. I'm not sure if we're going to that one or not. Any plans to come down to Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, in that area? Mike Brown asks. That's wintertime stuff there, bub. That's November, December, January. When it's too cold to do anything up here, we come down south. We melt when it's this hot out down south. Todd Campbell, what was up with the altercation between you and the guy at the Raggedy Ann Mustang, the Tan Mustang race? That's a good question. There was a drunk guy on the starting line that was side betting, and that's fine. He was drunk. That really shouldn't be allowed. If somebody's drunk, they should have been thrown off, but that's not my call. But the guy was drunk, and he was really running his mouth pretty bad, and I get it. You're trying to get side bets. You're trying to get people's feelings. And my problem wasn't really with what he was saying to me. He wasn't even speaking to me. He was just speaking in general. But some of the things he was saying were pretty bad, and there was a lot of little kids up there watching, and just there's a time and place for that stuff, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I told him, well, I asked for his name, and I can't even remember, Jacob Bryan something. And he asked me why I wanted his name, and I said, well, I just like to know that in case you get your jaw knocked off your face. When people ask on Facebook who got their jaw jacked, I can tell them. And he got into it with me a little bit, running his mouth. He's just drunk. And what I was really hoping was one of his buddies would come up and say something to him and say, hey, man, you know what? You probably need to pipe down. And I think that happened. I never saw him the rest of the night. Why you all mad with Vicky for trying to help you with the internet? I'm not mad. Y'all's a bunch of cries. I need to put that motor in the old Chevy. There's a lot of things we need to get done around here. Heat index in Texas is 103. That's terrible. I feel for you. I'm not coming down there anytime soon until that goes away. Wilkesboro, September 3rd and 4th. That's right before my birthday. My birthday's September 10th. I'd love to be at Wilkesboro the weekend before my birthday. Love that place. I call it Little Bristol. Do you ever plan to do a meet and greet at the shop? No, probably not. That's probably not a good idea. We already get enough people stopping here uninvited, and just kind of, people don't understand that we work every day out of the shop. Like when the garage is open, if we leave the garage door open, people just stop nonstop, and we can't film, we can't continue to do our work and do what we're trying to do if we're constantly asking or answering questions and things. So now I'm getting text messages about field tiles. How do I feel about Joe Biden's America? Joe Biden's America and my America are not the same. Joe Biden can eat a dick. Yeah, comments are going so fast I can't hardly read them. That's a good question. Air shifter in the future. That's a good question. I happen to have bought Billy an air shifter, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. Never got put in. Never got put in. I wish he would absolutely put that in the truck so we can start using it and tune with it, but hasn't gotten done. Remind me of my dad, bibs and all. Thank you, Waylon Hop. What part of the year we go to Texas in the winter when it's cool? I don't know anything about these donations. I don't know what that's all about. I didn't even know people would donate money on. I don't even know what that's all about. I'll have to have Billy help me figure that out. Farmington, 10 grand, scraping the track. That sounds like a good time. We'll come to Florida one day in the wintertime. We don't come down there in the summer. Kentucky anytime soon. We'd love to come to Kentucky. English Mountain. Do we have any plans to come back to English Mountain? Yeah. The thing about English Mountain is they're struggling, I think, with staffing. The track is awesome. The scenery is awesome. Everything is awesome. But for whatever reason, the crowd that they get at English Mountain tends to be pretty rough. A lot of drunks, a lot of drugs. And it's tough. Update on the blue 3rd Gen Camaro. Oh yeah, Kenny's Camaro's out here. We got to get in on that. Pacemakers is closed for the foreseeable future, possibly forever. The owner's family does not want it to be used as a racetrack. They just want to hunt deer on it, and that's it. As far as I know, that place is done. Let's see here. We've been to Pittsburgh once. We got rained out before we ever unloaded the truck. Ever been over to Fairfield Beach? Yeah, that's about 15 minutes from our house. Other than drive shaft mid-plate, any more mods on the way for the S10? Not at the time being. Yeah, I got a bunch of these hats. Hughes actually keeps me stocked in hats. I think they like me wearing their hats. They send me a box of hats every couple months. Thoughts on roll control on Molly's car? Molly's doing good to do what she's doing right now. A two-step and a roll control and all that. That's just more things that are going to confuse her right now. She just needs to get some seat time and learn how to drive what she's got. Heard the winner of Digger Die was a Ford engine Mustang. That is true. The winner at Digger Die was a small block Ford nitrous car. I have a little inside information on that car, but I don't know that that guy wants it shared, so I don't want to say too much other than that. I know it was a small block with Yates heads on spray, a lot of spray. The number I heard was 650 horsepower worth of it. So yeah, that car moves. Hi from Scotland, Jamie Waddell. How you doing, buddy? From Scotland. That's crazy. Once we get the Nova going, the plans are to put the Billy's S10 back on the street, as in street legal, as in stock doors, roll up and down windows, which we still have all that. And we're probably going to put the truck back on E85 with an intercooler and do streetcar stuff once we get the Nova together. Let's see, are you going to race the Nova? Keep up the great... I don't really have any interest in racing myself anymore. We will never have four-link Billy's truck. I don't know why we would ever want to do that. That would be like pissing into the wind. Have you ever raced in Missouri? Yes, we've been to Missouri. We went out there and blew up an engine one time. Testing. We drove 12 hours one way to go test on a street over there to get ready for a big street race, and we blew the engine up. Turbo the dually so it doesn't work so hard. That's actually a conversation that we had on the way home last night. Yes, Billy does use the draggy. That's how we know what the truck runs at Dig or Die. You guys want Hughes hats? I'll have to tell them that. You guys want Hughes merchandise? You want Hughes hats? I'll have to get on Hughes. I'll ask him about that. Tractor pullers from Germany? Don't you have something better to do in Germany? Well, I'd like to have the Red Nova back running and on the street by this fall so that it can move itself under its own power, just for simplicity's sake, for moving it around. Edgewater, we love Edgewater. Kinston, North Carolina. We love North Carolina. We go anywhere in North Carolina to race. We love North Carolina. How are you liking Billy's motor? I love it. It runs very well. It runs probably better than the old one ever would. The Wally was pretty cool. However, a little history on the NHRA giving out a Wally to No Prep. 2 years ago, when I was working with Rod Zolman at Pacemakers, we planned on doing a No Prep series up there. It was called the Untouchable No Prep series. And we were going to give out Wallies to each class champion at the end of the season. And unfortunately, somebody at the track, one of the regulars, and actually it was a employee of the track who was a bracket racer, called and raised holy hell to NHRA to try and get that stopped. And I had to go to Mount Vernon one day and get on a conference call with the Division III director in Indianapolis and some people in Glendora, California, and had a hour-and-a-half conversation about no prep racing and NHRA's future in dealing with no prep racing. And the thought of giving out a Wally stemmed from that phone conversation. That was 2 years ago. So I'm happy that NHRA actually did give out a Wally, but I view NHRA about as good as I view the federal government right now. They're just wanting your money. I don't think they have any intention of making anything better for anybody but themselves. That's just my personal opinion, but I could be wrong. 20. Let's see, the comments are going so fast. Yeah, we sold a lot of merchandise at Dig or Die. I mean, it was crazy. I don't know what the 55 Chevy runs in a quarter mile. We've never raced it. That's not a race car. That was never intended to be a race car. When will you have your next video up? I'm going to try and work on one today. I'll try and get one up tonight for you guys. Phoenix tires, I think, are a very good option for running the track the correct way. Phoenix tires are good for a surface that you can 60 foot in the 120s on. If it's a street that you can 60 foot in the 120s, I'd take a Phoenix tire over a Hoosier. But at dig or die, you're not going to 60 foot faster than 150s. I don't care who it is. So Hoosier it is for dig or die. Let's see. The Nova will probably go to the pad eventually, yes. Katy Dragway this Saturday is where we plan on going. That's our intention at this moment. Would I ever consider EFI? Yes. The Nova may be EFI when it comes out. I don't know. Okay, there's a good question. What do you feel the truck needs the most to improve it? Billy's S10 needs an air shifter, and it needs a timer, and it needs some testing. We need to go do some serious testing without an entourage and other things. We just need to go do some serious testing with an air shifter hooked up in it so that we can, and in all honesty, it's not even been on a dyno. It could use some dyno time. I wouldn't be surprised that some fine-tuning on a dyno wouldn't be a good idea. Who do you think top dog is in no prep small tire? There's a lot of really good racers. As far as I'm concerned right now, KC Max, probably the top. Beater Bomb is always up there at the top. Kendall Golan's always up there at the top. Just depends on what kind of surface you're on and where you're racing, because some of these cars are much, much faster than people think they are if they can get a hold of something. I'm not working on anybody else's carburetor right now. I don't want to do CNS. Listen, if you've bought a carburetor from CNS, have them work on it. I'm not interested in converting somebody else's carburetor from one thing to another. That's just a nightmare. I can't do that. I can't even hardly get my own work done. Different glue for burnouts. All we use is stripper glitter. I love Mickey Thompson's on a track. 3055S's for the track. Yeah, I'll leave this up. I don't know why anybody would want to watch this. I've been on here too long. I need to get off. This video is going to be too long. Super Comp, I ran Super Street for a while. I wouldn't mind running Super Comp, but that's just not something. What do I think about Bill Lutz's car? I think Bill Lutz has a nice car. As far as what do I think of it, dig or die, I mean, it fit the rules. Progress on Tommy's truck, it's still in the chassis shop. They're still working on it. Billy's got new QA1s for the front of the Nova. I think he's got Vikings for the Nova. I think he's going to put Vikings all the way around it. Let's see here. What brand of trailer is that you use? It's a Millennium. What is the button they press on the bumper on high-end drag cars? That is to set the data acquisition. That's so that they start recording. That's the data recorder, basically. When you see a car do a burnout and they back him up and somebody hits the button on the back bumper just before the car leaves, that's to start the data recorder so that they don't have to scroll through seconds and minutes worth of garbage in the burnout and everything else that they're not concerned about. They don't want to hit the data recorder until it's time for the car to leave the starting line. So that's why you'll see the guy come up and hit the button. That's to start the data recorder. Otherwise, if they started it before the burnout, then that would be just a lot of data wasted and space wasted in the computer. Hang on here. No, I'm not interested in HRA stock eliminator. Spending all that money to go slow and bracket race, that's not my thing right now. I can go bracket race a lot cheaper than stock eliminator. KD this weekend, yes. Would you guys come down to Ohio Valley, no prep in Kentucky, shoot out once a month? We've been to Ohio Valley. I like that place. But from our experience down there, it's just a whole lot of money for, I mean, they really nailed us pretty good last time we were down there for camping and parking and like everything you need down there, there's a charge for it. Yeah, we'd come to a Virginia track sometime. We just left Michigan 2 weeks ago. We were at Onondaga. Matt and Melissa Nolly. Thank you, Melissa. It was good meeting you guys too. You're welcome, guys. No problem. Union Grove, I'm not sure where that's at. What size spark plug wire are you using and brand of plugs? We use, we try to use NGKs, dash 10s in Billy's truck, but right now it's got auto lights in it because they were out of NGKs. Yes, an air shifter can still be manually shifted. How did I get into racing? Watching my dad run that 55 Chevy, the old black 55. That's how I got into racing. I know I haven't seen this question for a minute. It's been a while. T. Walsh, I noticed when Tommy's was racing, you pour the stripper glitter in front of him and he backs into it. The reason we did that was because Tommy's nitrous truck had exhaust that came out right in front of the rear tires, and if you tried to pour the stripper glitter in front of the tires, the exhaust would blow the stripper glitter back on my hands and all over my feet and make a big mess. So we would pour the puddle behind Tommy's tire and have him back into it. That way it didn't blow the prep all over me and my shoes and everything else. What rear end is in Billy's S10? Both trucks have Moser 9-inch rear ends in them with 370 gears. We don't know who had the fastest trap speed at Dig or Die. I know that we ran in excess of 130 miles an hour at Dig or Die. And I think we were probably one of the higher mile an hours. I'm not sure that we were the fastest mile an hour, but I'm sure we were up there in the upper spectrum. Let's see here. Can you make video for tips on crewing on a race team? That's a good question, Marcus Mack. That's actually something that I was thinking about doing. I was actually considering hosting some classes, some driver and crew classes for no prep, because I think there's a lot of people who are watching and enjoying the videos and would like to get into this kind of racing. However, from the outside looking in, if you've never done it, I'm sure it probably looks a little bit difficult. Like maybe you don't understand what they're doing and why. And I know that there's people that are actually out there doing it that don't understand what they're doing and why. I've watched it every weekend, but I've considered holding driver and crew classes. That is something I'm considering doing. Is Kendall's Billy's kryptonite? Kendall Golan is a lot of people's kryptonite. But no. Let's see here. This is a good question. Half-fast garage. What advice would you give to someone wanting to build a small tire street car for the first time? I have an 84 Monte Carlo to start with. If you're starting out first time, the Monte Carlo isn't a bad platform. It's not the lightest, obviously. It's not going to be as light as a Fox body. It's not going to be as light as an S10. In all honesty, if you wanted to build for your very first no prep small tire car, there was a time I would have said a Fox body Mustang 100%, but the more we've gotten used to running this S10, I think that the S10 platform is by and large probably the least expensive, best platform to use to get started. There's not a whole lot that they need. You can reuse all 4 springs. All you need is 4 adjustable shocks, some Caltrack bars, 2-inch lowering blocks in the back. Take a leaf out maybe in the back, and you're pretty much set for suspension as far as that goes. Just maybe some 1-inch longer upper ball joints. This guy keeps asking this question a million times. I'm gonna block him about this stupid 256 cylinder carburetor. I don't know what that's all about, but as soon as I get done with this, I'm gonna block your ass, because I don't know anybody that needs to know that. I don't know nothing about a 256 cylinder. Schedule we can follow online. The schedule changes with the weather. It's hard to tell where we're going, but I know this weekend we plan on going to Katy Dragway for Midnight Madness. Tommy's C10 is still in the same place it was the last time he touched it, sitting in the driveway. We've just been busy with other things. It's been too hot. The Nova, Billy's Nova, is already a 4-link. Parnell Earl, how are you doing, man? You're on here? Parnell? Come on, man. I know you got better shit to do. Parnell Earl, how do you feel about the heavy wing loophole at Dig or Die? I think it's going to go away. My personal opinion is that I think they were right to put the rule on ballast, because there was a lot of unsafe things hanging off the back of cars that weren't secured properly. The wing is a loophole, and I think it's going to go away. I would just about bet. Because the wing is now going to become the new butthurt bar. Hang on a second. What's this here? Any affiliation with pacemakers anymore? That's right down the road from me. No, I haven't helped up there for a couple of years, and I think the place is closed now. Did you and Miss Vicky meet in school? Yes, we were high school sweethearts. We've been together since I was 14 and she was 15 years old. I like the Phoenix tires for tracks. I'm not so sure that they're the best thing for Dig or Die. In fact, I know they're not the best thing for Dig or Die. Yeah, I did. Robert Burke, find note on your truck? Yeah, I did find that note on the truck. I'm sorry we didn't get to meet you, Robert. I did find that note. It's in the dually in the console. Thank you. I'm sorry we missed you. No, Vicky didn't get pot roast yesterday. Where did we eat dinner, Vic? I don't know where she's at. She must not be in here. Jonathan Bailey has a very good question. What was the whole story behind people buying chips? That's a long story. That's a very long story. I don't know if I want to comment on that right now. I don't want to comment on that until the videos all come out, because I wasn't there in the driver's meeting. I wasn't there. I don't know anything firsthand. I know some background history on what's going on there, but as far as firsthand knowledge of what happened in that driver's meeting, I was not there. So until the videos come out, which I'm sure they're coming, I would rather not speculate. I'd rather not say anything about that until after the videos come out and see what exactly happened. Let's see here. Hang on here. Well, then go watch Richard Holdener. I watch Richard Holdener. I think he does a fantastic job, but I don't think you're going to get Richard Holdener to do a video on a 250 cubic inch 6-cylinder engine, blow through carburetor. I just don't think that's going to happen. That might be something you have to figure out on your own, buddy. Sorry. Let's see here. I need to get off here pretty soon. This has been going on way too long. Okay, here's a good question. Mr. Robert Boten, B-O-T-E-N. How can someone actually have a conversation with you? It's in your best interest. I sent a message to your messenger, but never heard back. I definitely wouldn't waste your time. Robert, I get 1,000 messages a week that say that exact same thing. Everybody wants a conversation with me for whatever reason. I have no idea why anybody wants to talk to me, but I can't have that conversation with everybody. I'd never, ever get anything done if I answered every message. I literally get thousands of messages a week. I'm not grumpy. I'm going to retire from the excavating business. We're gonna back out of that deal. Watching from New Zealand. Please tell Miss Cookie, or please tell Miss Vicky, New Zealand Cookie Monster is low on cookies. That's funny. New fifth scale hasn't come in yet. Track setup though. The Nova, Billy's Nova will have a 540-inch big block Chevy, all aluminum with twin 88s. The 88s are already here. What happened to you and junior and senior podcast? I can't never get Billy out here to do it. He's always busy. No, not accepting sponsors. I don't need sponsors. I haven't even seen the new track since we got home. Do you still pipe Vicky every chance I get? That's funny. J. Scott, should a doghouse and hood be required to race? It ain't a street car if it's not got a nose on it. Well, first off, Dig or Die isn't about street cars. Dig or Die isn't about street cars. You don't have to have a street legal car to race Dig or Die. We've been to Quaker City a couple times, yes. Where and when is Billy's next race? Billy's next race is this weekend at Katy Dragway in South Webster, Ohio. Midnight Madness. That's the idea anyway. That's the plan. Billy's name come up constantly during Limpy's live feed. How come Billy doesn't post more videos and make the most of his popularity? That's a good question. Billy has a lot of things going on. Billy really needs to consider what's most important and focus. Billy's S10 weighs 2950 without him in it, without any ballast. Without the ballast bars, without a driver. Or maybe that is with a driver, I can't remember. Maybe it is with a driver. What do you think about tube chassis cars in streetcar classes? They don't belong in streetcar class. Do you think different tire brands need different burnouts? I don't know. I'm sure there's probably something to that. I love Thornhill. Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked. Diesel less. Billy had a huge following on Limpy's live feed. I was a little shocked. I haven't actually gone to look. I keep getting comments that there was a lot of people on there asking about Billy on Limpy's live feed, and we really appreciate the support. Did those oil leaks y'all attended to hold up all weekend? Yes. Billy put a catch can on it. When we put the new engine in it, he wanted to put a catch can on the firewall and AN lines, all that fancy shit. And I didn't particularly care for it because basically we had 2 breathers and then we only had 1 breather. And then the problem that I saw is that any oil that gets pushed out in the AN lines, the oil will lay in any of the low spots. If the line doesn't go downhill on grade, any low spot in the line will collect oil, fill with oil, and then you have to build crankcase pressure, enough air to blow that oil into the catch can, and that builds crankcase pressure, and that's not good. So after fixing about 9 million oil leaks, I finally convinced him to put the old breathers back on the valve covers and run it the way we used to, and we haven't had a single problem since. Okay, why don't you put a vacuum pump on? Well, because a vacuum pump, most vacuum pumps probably could not handle the amount of crankcase pressure that is accumulated in a turbo application. Scrapper wants to say hi. Hi, Scrappers. You want to say hi? You want to say hi, Scrappy? Yeah, Tommy and Allison always do a good job. You know, LS swaps are good for people on a budget. Yeah, we did make it to the split. I don't want to say. That's up to Billy. That's his money. But yes, they split at 8 cars. So even though we lost at 8 cars, we got a little bit of money out of it. Enough to pay for the trip anyway. No, we will not do a reality show. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say we'd never be on a television show if that ever came up, but we're never going to do a show strictly about us. There's no need for that. I'm not interested in that. Okay, those dogs, they are blue heelers, Australian cattle dogs. How much did the suspension setup change from pre-game race to round 1? It did not change at all. The only thing that changed was he put the ballast bar back in, which I told him not to take out to begin with. I do not partake in Mary Jane. I have never smoked marijuana. I understand that it is good for medicinal purposes, but I do not smoke it. I have never smoked it. I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't even drink beer. Do you think the line was too out of control this weekend? No, I love the crowd. I love the crowd up there, man. I love it, but there was some people that had way too much to drink, and they were making it miserable for everybody, if you ask me. How can rules be made to keep the heavy wings out? Nate Weimer. I don't know that needs to happen. I don't think that's a problem as far as competition. I think it's probably more a safety factor, because what's going to start happening and has already begun is you've got people with excess of 100 pounds of ballast in a wing 6 feet above the deck lid or 6 feet above the rear axle. And if a car should happen to spin around and back into the wall and that wing breaks off, it's going in the crowd, which is the reason they wanted to get rid of the external ballast to begin with. Hang on, here's a good question. Philip, do you have any tips for somebody who's beginning to tune for nitrous? I've started out 100 wet shot and I want to do more in the future. Buddy, that information is out there on the internet. I mean, my best advice is to download your instruction manual for the kit that you are using and follow it to the letter. And don't look for information out of some hilljack like me on YouTube. I don't drink. Yeah, Billy's still in. I've seen that. There was a lot of those people asking that. There was a couple cars on drag radial, and I don't think they did very well. There's no way a drag radial would work down there. Yes, we plan on coming to Wisconsin at some point. We have a sponsor, weldtables.com sponsors us, and they would like us to come up to an event in Wisconsin at some point. There's no reason to bash Molly in here. I don't know why there's a bunch of people bringing up Molly's name. Dump Molly. Billy does have a job. He races for a living. He does YouTube and he races for a living. That's what he does for a living. Well, that's a good question. How did they allow Luge to enter his tube chassis car? By the rules. Technically, by the rules. I think that they had stated that they were going to use X275 rules, and by X275 rules, that car is not a full tube chassis, therefore it is legal, and it was legal for the event. There was no reason to keep Bill Lutz out of that race whatsoever. In fact, I think there was multiple people licking their chops for a call out on him first round, and a couple of them got their wish. One unsuccessful, and one of them put the gap to him. What would you suggest would be the biggest shot of nitrous with E85? I would not use nitrous with E85. If you're going to spray nitrous, spray with gas. You can use E85 in the carburetor if you want, but that gets tricky because E85 has a hydrocarbon component, which is your pump gas, 87 octane pump gas, and that hydrocarbon component is there for a reason. It's there to help light the ethanol, and it's there to light the ethanol in a low compression daily driver engine. And what happens when you put ethanol in a high compression engine with nitrous is that at some point that 87 octane will pre-ignition. It will light itself. It will diesel basically. And at that point you lose control of your ignition timing, and you start knocking wrist pins out, you start knocking rod bearings out, you start blowing head gaskets, you start knocking ring lands out of the pistons, and none of that's any good. You don't want to do any of that. I know because I've been there. We did that with Billy's truck. We did it with Tommy's truck. I actually sprayed 450 on Tommy's truck for a little while, but I was actually mixing race gas into our drums of E98. We were using E98, okay? E98 out of a drum, not out of a pump, not out of a tanker truck. We were getting drums of E98 shipped to us. And even at 2% hydrocarbon, that 2% pump gas was enough to destroy Tommy's engine when we shot 350 to it. I think we had 350 on it. And it was 13.5 to 1 compression. and I was spraying it with 114, 117. But just that little 2% of the pump gas in the E85 is what did Tommy's engine in. That's a good question. That's a topic I could probably cover a little better later. Let's see here. Guys, I really need to get the heck off here. I can't. I'm tired, but I'm okay. Met you at Dig or Die. Good guy. Really appreciate your fans. Thank you for taking time to talk to me. You're welcome. You're welcome. Billy and Tommy are probably working on a video tonight, and I need to get started on mine for tonight. That's why I need to get off here pretty soon. But there's a lot of good questions. Yeah, guys, there's no reason to bash Molly on here. I don't know why anybody's bashing Molly on here, but I'm not going to partake in that. I'm not even going to entertain that. De-stroking an engine. Turbo John uses a de-stroke 400. He would be a very good channel for you to check out if you're interested in de-stroked engines. Memphis Wipert. Turbo John on YouTube runs a de-stroked 400 small block Chevy. I believe it's a 3-inch stroke crank. It's 360 inches, I think. And he does quite well with it. No, it is never time for big tires until we enter big tire classes. Dinner hasn't even, well, dinner's actually in the oven. She's got beef and noodles started in there. Yeah, we'll have a video up soon. I think Billy and Tommy's probably working on his tonight, and then I got to get started on mine as soon as I get off here. There's been a lot of good questions. I don't want to end it when there's good questions. How much timing do you run on E85? Our base timing on Billy's truck has always been 36 degrees. Anytime you've got more than 3.5-inch stroke on a small block Chevy, you want to stay below 38 degrees. And the longer the stroke is, the less timing you're going to want. I do not have a part number for the ball joint. You just have to look that up. Do you see good success with less compression? Yeah, so far. The tuning window is wider. It makes less power without boost. That makes it a little bit easier to calm it down at races like Dig or Die. So that's all good things. What's your thoughts on the RPM Act? I think everybody probably already knows that, and I don't want to get into that right now because they'll probably shut my channel down and demonetize me and everything else. So we're working on that behind the scenes. We're thinking about actually putting a turbo on the dually. Why doesn't Molly want to run an automatic? Molly likes to do everything the hard way. Nitro mix and methanol on turbo small block Chevys. Is this safe for small stroke? It's safe for every stroke. We have not ever mixed nitro into methanol. We haven't needed to yet. We wouldn't be opposed to running the No Prep Kings events with the Nova when it's done. We wouldn't be opposed to that. Billy's Anthony Mark Grisop. Ever consider a big block? Billy's Nova is going to be big block. The engine will be an aluminum 540. What video editing software do you guys use? I don't know what Billy and Tommy use. I use iMovie. I do everything on my phone. No, I have no plans for a Pro Charger in the future. How did I become so knowledgeable about small block Chevys? It's all I've ever known. The Nova's in the works. We're still waiting on the engine. Update on Tommy's truck. It's still at the chassis shop. Philip Laville. How can you tell if you have too much or too little tire pressure at the track? How can you find the right amount? Philip, what I'm going to tell you is you make one change at a time. You go, first off, test and tunes are about useless. You can't get any good information on a test and tune. The only way to really get good data is testing at a private track rental where you don't have 1,000 street cars tearing the starting line up and making a mess. But on a slow night at a track, or probably the best thing to do would be go to a bracket race and ask if you can just pay for test and tune, because the track's probably going to be better at the bracket race than you'll ever get at a test and tune. But start at the minimum tire pressure that your tire manufacturer tells you to run, and don't make any changes with your launch RPM or anything. Just simply make tire pressure changes. Make 3 back-to-back hits without any changes whatsoever with the minimum tire pressure. And then once you've got your baseline, add 1 pound of tire pressure until the car spins, and back it down a half a pound from there. And that's a good baseline. Here, let me see. Who would win the dog race, June Pup or Scrappy? Scrappy's much faster. I cuss Biden every time I do anything, not just fill my fuel tank. Both the trucks have power glides. I think Billy's going to order a brand new set of forced induction turbos for Tommy's truck. Tommy's truck is a 421 small block Chevy. It'll have 220 AFR heads on it, 23 degree. We plan on racing Tommy's truck as much as possible if we can ever get it back from the chassis shop. Yeah, John Deere's back. It's running. There's a good question. Ricky Caldwell, what happens to the S10 after the Nova, and will y'all make another video like you did of the Moonshiners? The first thing is that the S10 will probably go back to a street car like it used to be, with the stock doors, roll up and down windows, stock glass in it. And we'll probably put an intercooler on it, put it back on E85, and turn the boost up on it, and do street car stuff with it. No trailer races. The Moonshiners movie. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever do another one. The kids are wanting to do it, but I don't really have... That Moonshiners movie, there's a lot behind that, and that was not something that I enjoyed doing for many reasons, mostly because if you've ever had to deal with 20-year-old kids and younger, you probably already know where I'm going with that. I hope Billy will paint the S10 at some point. I don't want a foot race Limpy, that poor guy. I'd kick his ass in a foot race, and he knows it. No, NHRA isn't trying to stop the events, but I can tell you the question is from Billy Carter, is NHRA trying to stop events like Dig or Die at NHRA tracks? The answer to that is no. The IHRA has tried to put a stop to them, however. 'Is not, that I'm aware of. I can tell you that insurance companies are cracking down on backwards track racing at guardrail tracks, and for good reason. Guardrails are installed in such a way that if a car should hit them, the guardrail is overlapped a certain way so that the guardrail does not impale the car. And when you run a guardrail track backwards, the guardrails are laid the wrong way. And if a car should hit the guardrail just the right angle, the guardrail will snap and come right through the car and kill the driver. You can probably do a search on guardrail impalement, and it'll answer any of your questions as to why any sanctioning body or insurance company or track owner would be scared to death to run tracks backwards with guardrails. I don't like doing it. We've done it, but I'm very adamant that when I take my kids to a guardrail track and we're running backwards, I always make sure to explain to them the dangers. What now, Meg? Thank you very much. Billy's Nova will fit any tire we want. We can run big tire or small tire with his Nova. Yes, we're still building an engine for my Nova, and I want to try and get it running by fall. Limpy's lives are always on point, man. Limpy does a fantastic job, and he really did a good job at this one. 2 different camera angles and all that. Billy was on 30 pounds of boost below the carburetor at the finish line. Chris Bryant asked, how much boost was Billy on at the big end? At Dig or Die, he was on approximately 30 pounds below the carburetor at the finish line. However, the ramp was 5 seconds long. So, I mean, he was on 30 pounds, but just for a short little bit of time, just at the very end. Limpy is amazing. He absolutely is. Something about Chris. Chris is an outstanding, wonderful person. He's just not real well spoken, so his YouTube channel doesn't really take off like I think it should. He's just not really good at speaking on camera, and if it wasn't for that, if he could do a little bit better speaking into the camera sometimes, I think he would do really well on YouTube. But he's just a very quiet, timid person. What is a weasel pig? A weasel pig is Molly's dog, and we call her Weasel Pig because she steals food off everybody's plates like a weasel, and she eats like a pig, and half the time she smells like a pig. She's a stinky little dog. Dig or Die video up probably tomorrow, I would imagine. The starter at Dig or Die came on Limpy's live feed saying they got a bunch of bad publicity off y'all's first race call. Well, I'm sure they probably did, because there's nobody that's probably got more cameras mounted on their race car than Billy. And it was a bad call, but it was a mistake, and they made it right. SRC Garage, should Dig or Die have been water burnouts for at least the first round? No. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Water burnout or prep burnout doesn't matter. I will say that the water burnouts, all right, I'm going to say this. The water burnouts help keep the different chemicals all from mixing together. Like when you're doing prep burnout, everybody brings their own prep, and some people custom mix. Somebody buys stripper glitter. Somebody else uses skinnies or rocket track glue or what's that red stuff? The devil stuff, devil's glue. You know, all these things, they all work pretty good. But the problem is there's sometimes people bring their own shit up there. And a lot of times somebody don't have money and they'll freaking buy Dr. Pepper or some damn thing, and it just makes a mess. And you never know when it's going to happen. You have to really watch careful what people are pouring. But the water burnout will help keep consistency. It won't make the cars go any slower. It'll take longer for the track to come in. It'll take longer for the surface to get good. But once it gets good, the surface will be better with water burnout than it is pour and prep. Does Kenny Powers have plans for his car? Yeah, the old Camaro's sitting out here. We need to get working on it. He wants to, I think he's going to try and hard tire race it. I don't know. We like Clay City. That was just a bad deal when they threw Scotty Richardson out down there. That kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I haven't been back since. Yes, I definitely miss pacemakers. What happened between you guys and Skinnies? That's a long story. Probably best left alone. Can you override the dump valve setting and the activation of the scramble button? Can I? No. Billy can. I'm not sure. Rusty Allen, I'm not sure what you're asking. What was the editing you do on your phone? iMovie. I can't buy pacemakers if it's not for sale, and I wouldn't buy it even if it was. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. I've been on here for 102 minutes. Your opinion on Patches and the Denver guys? My opinion is that they are super nice people. Those guys have offered for us to come down and test with them. They've sent us parts before, long time ago, back before hardly anybody even knew who Street Racing Channel was. Those guys have sent parts for us before for free. They're outstanding people. But they're hardcore, and if you come at them sideways, you should expect them to come back sideways, right in your face. I love them to death. Do I agree with everything that maybe happened? No, not really, but you know, it's one of them things, you know. I don't really think it's a good idea to start allowing people to buy each other's chips. It wasn't against the rules at that race. What I think they did was legendary. They paid $200 for the chip that matches the baddest car on the property, specifically to take him out, because they knew they could. I don't care what anybody says. That takes some balls. They're badass, in my opinion. Is that a good practice to have in the event? Probably not. But it wasn't against the rules then, and they took advantage of it. Charles is a bad dude. They've got a good team. Mr. Bradshaw, I think a lot of him. I think he's a good person. I think he won't take shit from nobody. Listen, if you're going to call, let me back up. Here's what I got to say. I'm just going to say this one time. If you cross the Mason-Dixon line from up north and you go down south and you call a corn-fed southern boy a bitch to his face, brother, you better expect to get bitch smacked right then and there. Period. Don't do that. Who does that? There's no reason for that. You call that boy a bitch. You call Mr. Bradshaw a bitch to his face, you're going to get smacked. And that's what happened. Don't go down south with an attitude. Don't go down south and call them and them boys and poor boys from down south. Don't go down there and run your mouth at them and tell them you're going to run over their shit, their fucking clapped out fox bodies and all that shit. Boy, you are cruising for a bruising. You don't go down south and talk like that. You don't go down south and talk like that. Them boys will put a foot right in your ass every time. I guarantee it. Don't do it. Don't do it. We don't do that. We don't do that. We go down there and we race respectfully, and we're good to people, and those people are damn good to us. Ain't nobody like people down south good to us. Love everybody down south. And I don't care what the hell color their skin is neither. Some of the damn nicest people we've ever met have been black people from Atlanta and Chasnico and a lot of the guys from down in Louisiana at the pad. Nobody gives two shits what color my skin is or that I wear bib overalls down there. And I don't give a shit about their colors or their freaking clothes neither. We're family. Patches is fast, yes sir. It's simple. Treat people how you want to be treated. That's exactly right. Patches and Willie Dynamite are good people. Just don't run your mouth. It's as simple as that. All right, guys, I better get off here before I run out of time to get my video done tonight. I love you all. Thank you all for the questions. I think it was a pretty good live. It's a little too long, but love you all very much. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting our family and buying merchandise and cheering for us on the live feeds and all that. It's just incredible. Poor Limpy. He got tired of asking or answering questions about where's Billy and did Billy win, and whew. Love you all too, man. I'm gonna hop off, guys. Take care. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for commenting, watching. Love you all. Good night.